Tay, all the way live from Los Angeles, California. And this is episode number 270. And I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, the one and only Jen. How you doing, Jen?
I'm doing awesome. Absolutely, positively awesome. Super excited about our guest today.
Yes, it's going to be a great, amazing show. Also joining us is Grayson, whose birthday is this week.
Yes, 3 more days. 3 more days. Let's
All
hit
right,
the countdown.
we're going to celebrate too.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, joining us, our guest tonight is Harley Wallen. And Harley, we're going to get to you in a second, but I want to ask the ladies this question. You know, today is International Dog Day today. And I have a question for you. What is your favorite breed of dog, Jen?
My favorite breed of dog, Dalmatian. They're mean, but I love them.
Really, Dalmatians? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I love I had a Dalmatian when I was younger, which probably explains why I love them so much.
Okay. What about you, Grayson?
Well, it's like obviously I've had multiple Shih Tzus, so obviously I must have something for them.
Okay, Shih Tzu. Okay. All right. Well, I like a Rottweiler though. Those are
they're very cool.
Those are cool dogs, man.
Yeah,
and
those
if
are loyal dogs.
You get them young too, man. They will love you like no other, and they will be by your side. I mean, you know, most dogs are like that too, but definitely a Rottweiler. I would say that would be my favorite breed. But my last dog was a Chihuahua. So yeah, right. And it was a weird combination for me, you know. But you know, what they say, you don't select dogs, dogs select you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I felt like you know, he was a sickly dog, and as some of you guys know, and I took him in, rescued him, so he only had like a month to live. But it was sad, but it was a great month for me because it was a cool bonding thing. So so it's International Dog. Go if you can rescue a dog, go to your local shelters, and it's a beautiful thing. But I think the next dog I get though is going to be a healthy puppy though, because I can't go through that again. The losing an animal like that is traumatic.
Does it count if you have cats that think that they're dogs? Because legitimately, I feel like I could totally celebrate this with the cats that I've got because they don't know they're cats.
They don't know they're cats. So you raising them like dogs.
They think they're dogs. Yeah,
hilarious. Speaking of cats, I said this in the pre-chat. A stray cat gave birth to a litter underneath my house, and skedaddled, or at least I thought they skedaddled the mother, because the mother hadn't been seen from, and the cats were crying all through the night. And while I was gone, thank God the people here called the SPCA, and they came and got them. And there were 6 kittens. They were all under the house. I couldn't tell they were under the house because the way that they were crying, it was coming from both sides of the house. And, you know, I assumed that they couldn't get underneath and, you know, get there. So I figured they had to be on the side, and I looked on both sides and I didn't see them, but I heard them, and they were underneath the house, and they went and got them. There were 6 kittens. They said they were cute as buttons. And no, we did not keep them because it's not a cat house. But I guess the stray cat was trying to make it into a cat house. So wait a minute, a cat house. Pause right there. Not that kind of cat house. But yeah. So this is the second time this happened. But yeah, I don't know. I like animals, but I don't want miscellaneous ones that I didn't prepare for.
So obviously, Kente, what we should take away from this is you have feline energy.
Apparently, on 10.
Yep.
So you know, so
I think the universe is trying to tell you something.
Right, on National Dog Day.
Yes, on National Dog Day, Kente, get a cat.
All right, so joining us tonight, this man, this is his second time on the show. He's a filmmaker, he's an actor, he's a writer, It's the one and only Harley Wallen. How you doing?
I'm good, Kente. How about you?
Pretty good. And also a martial artist too.
Yeah, kind of retired, but I still do shows for UFC Fight Pass. So I'm on there every month doing Warrior Wednesdays. So I'm still in touch with the arts, but absolutely.
Nice.
Well, I'll say this: people out there, don't run up on Harley in the dark alley. It's not going to end well for you. So he ain't that retired.
No, not that retired.
But now you are on the silver screen, and you've been killing the game, and you have a new movie coming out called The Eternal Code. And I'm so fortunate because living in Los Angeles, I'll be attending the premiere, which is on the 4th of September. So let's talk about the film, and then we'll get into the premiere as well. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the film itself, I wrote. I think we might actually have touched on me writing this last time we talked, because I read that article on Facebook that had the Italian doctor who was going to decapitate a paraplegic man and a brain dead man and put the good head on the good body and make a new human, which is this Frankenstein idea. And they did it on deceased primates. They saw the nerve endings grow back. So they really feel that they're going to be able to do this with a medically induced coma to regenerate and have this person live and function again, which sounds, insane actually. But we've seen so many medical advances that who knows. But it made me think, because this crazy writer brain starts thinking about the Holy Grail and what's going to happen. We can essentially find ways to live forever. But I thought the premise of changing of heads will still age us, and we'll still have to fight all those things. So I took it one step further, where we can now download the essence of you onto almost like a drive, plug that into a new human, and override all their systems and take them over. And that's the new you. And then the thoughts of what would happen if we did that. With these billionaires, would they order their own new bodies, fully functioning supermodels? Like, what would happen? And they came up with a really great tagline that I can't even take credit for. But would you kill to live forever is the tag for the film. And I love that aspect, because it's the moral dilemma of what would you do if you had access to something like that. And I think that's very intriguing.
I love it. I love it. It's so inventive and creepy all at the same time, and and it makes you. It seems like I haven't seen the film yet, but just by listening to the premise, it seems like it's one of those films that makes you think, like, what would you do in this situation, or if you had those resources, or is that something that you would even want? When you were crafting this story, did you ever think about it from a personal sense of if you had the opportunity, would you?
Not for me at all. I think the cycle of life and death is perfect. I really do. It sounds crazy, but I think if I didn't have any urgency to do any of the things that I want to do, that I could have done them whenever, 100 years from now or 200 years from now. How would we get excellence? How would we get the motivation and all those things? Right now, we only have X amount of time, and it could be over at any time. So we're forced to chase harder. It's like a hungry lion. You have to eat to continue. And I love that chase. And it's kind of like how I've lived my whole life. All my awards are in boxes. I enjoy them the day I get them, and then I put them away and I look at the future. It's just my mindset's that way. So it wouldn't be for me.
Yeah, it wouldn't be for me either.
Right. Yeah. But it's still fun to talk about, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, it is. I think a lot of people would love that. Isn't Rockefeller on his sixth heart or something?
Right. Yeah. So what was some of the biggest challenges in creating this film, pre and post? and during as well?
Pre was budgeting because this film needed an ensemble cast. I mean, I had Scout Taylor Compton, Billy Worth. I have Jan Birch. I have Richard Tyson, Mel Novak. So a lot of really solid and strong names, and I wanted to make it that way because it's not a film that's going to get a ton of views just by genre, and in this instant world, a lot of people aren't going to read enough to know what they what the movie's about and invest themselves to that degree. So I wanted to have enough cast that people said, you know what, I got to watch that thing. So budgeting was the biggest in pre-production. In production, I think the biggest challenge was that I was leaving for a vacation with a heart out. My business partner Nancy was leaving for China with a heart out, and the film had to be shot very aggressively before we all left, because after that we would be into a new season filming this film, and it wouldn't have felt right. So that was tricky to build this shooting schedule. And I also had a brand new cinematographer on this film that I'd never worked with before.
That's always risky.
A lot of juggling, new audio guy, new cinematographer. It was a lot of balls in the air that I had to juggle for this one. But I love challenges though. So it was a lot of fun. Editing of this film, if you're talking in post, was more challenging as well because it's so action filled and so the film moves. We wanted a camera that followed along with the pace of the film, so that it was shot almost exclusively on Steadicam or dollies and whatnot.
Wow.
And that's a little trickier to edit than your regular, standard, tripod type of shots.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you how this was different from, say, your last film, and what kinds of, whether it was uniquely different because it is a little bit more, it's a little bit more conceptual.
Yeah,
and whether that played into, like, was it actually different to do this than it was to do some of the other stuff that you've done?
Yeah. I think what I try to do is I try to let the film tell me what it wants. Let the story tell me, and then I'll try to bring that to the table. But I really felt that this thing moves a lot, and I wanted to keep that movement alive, and have the camera be a louder voice than it is in my other films, because it's intriguing when that camera moves in on you. But it's trickier to edit as well because you can't maintain your traditional angles always, and a little bit more pressure on an actor too, when you're gonna have to hold sometimes on a shot for a bit of an extended time. But I'm happy with the turnout, so I hope the audience is going to be giddy about that as well.
Oh, I one other thing that I wanted to ask, which I think is kind of interesting, right? Which is, how is this different from what you did previously? That is, how did you approach this with a different kind of mindset? It's the because the topic is so conceptual.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have to? I think what I'm thinking is the last time that we had you on the show, right? The movie that we were talking about seemed really solid, right? And
Betrayed,
and it had some pretty concrete points in it. But this one is a lot more conceptual. And so
yes.
I was wondering, was that harder? Was it more difficult in post or during production, or what was your experience?
I think it was a harder. I think it's a little harder because you're working with a brand new cinematographer, and you're trying to get. And this was his first feature, so I had to coach him through some of the stuff. But I also realizing editing in post, that is trickier. But as far as my mindset, I just want the camera to dance with the subject, which makes blocking harder. I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. I chose to not go heavily into the sci-fi side of this and focus on the problem at hand. So the device has already been made. Two genetic research companies came together to make this. When one finds out that the other one is selling this to the highest bidder, and essentially this has now become what the rich people are going to do to live forever, and then they pull out. So we are essentially seeing the aftermath of creating this in the film.
Nice.
Go ahead, Grace.
Well, I was also going to ask you in regards to that, because you said that it was a brand new cinematographer and team, and it's so essentially important that when you have that relationship, was it also a new editor as well, from what I was hearing, or same editing team?
The editor, I finally have now the editor that I think I'm going to stick with for quite a while. Fred Mossman has a full post-production studio in Florida, and he's incredible. He actually also edited Agramon's Gate, which I shot before Eternal Code, but it will come out in February. It's having a really, really strong run on the festival circuit. So it's the same editor, but the cinematographer, I wanted somebody who was really, really strong with a steady cam and good with movement and lighting for something that was going to potentially could be a one-shot scene.
So that was actually done as an accidental or an on purpose?
On purpose.
In terms of it?
On purpose.
Okay, so you wanted to work with this new specific cinematographer because of their technical abilities with the Steadicam and with a non-traditional filming.
Well, the
technique.
I worked the other way around. So the film told me that it needed that, and then I went out and found him. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. So the film, I knew that if I shoot this the way I shot Betrayed, it wouldn't move enough, because this film moved. There's chases and fight scenes and shootings and a lot of stuff that moves, and I needed a camera that could dance with the subject, and I just needed somebody really strong with that Steadicam. So I found Jackson. Jackson Swan was my cinematographer, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. But like you said, changing your team adds a challenge. That's for sure.
It also changes the dynamic of the team as well, and it also changes as well the challenge of people who've all worked together and then having a new person come in with their style and being able to come in and get their cinematography eye on the subject as well as also with the actor relationship, because if they could tell that the director and the cinematographer aren't getting, aren't completely simpatico with one another and aren't feeling one unit, it could feel very stilted to the actors. Do you feel that it also changed a little on their performance?
I don't think so. I think as a director, I try not to get frustrated even when it gets frustrating, because it's funny, but I was on a cruise a long time ago, and there was a hurricane right around the islands that we were heading out to, but it was supposed to turn and go into the Atlantic and not really hit us. Well, I guess the hurricane didn't get the memo, because suddenly we're at sea and the hurricane is heading our way.
Oh, no.
The captain of this cruise ship was so calm and collected. I never, ever felt in danger. And we didn't touch land for 3.5 days. And afterwards, I talked to these guys that worked the boat, and they said they were like ready with lifeboats to, like, this was the worst storm this captain had ever been in. I had no idea. That's a good captain. Right. You know what I mean? Because you can't have pandemonium on the boat. Same way with the director.
Correct.
If you're a director and you start caving under pressure, then it's going to be a long night or a long day. So you got to stay remember
It's going to be a hard shoot.
Yeah, you're almost a coach.
Right. Now, being a director of a major production, there's a lot of headaches that come along with it. What was there a scene in particular that kept you up at night the night before? Like you were like, oh boy, this is gonna be, this is gonna be something.
Yeah, we actually have a few of those. The opening sequences are fairly intense, but we're after the intense portion, we go immediately into a boardroom meeting where the female CEO of the one company puts down her veto, and it's a fairly long monologue, and I just knew that she had to kill that because it's so early in the film, and it needed to be a strong statement because in that room you have Richard Tyson, Jan, and Mel, and all sitting right there looking at you, and you have to bring it with everything you have, and Erica was amazing. But that one I was nervous about because if you can't pull that off as the second scene of the film, we're in trouble.
Right. Oh wow. Oh, that's very exciting stuff. Now, in the process of bringing this story to film, there's a lot of science, I imagine, in the film. And so, how was that process of making the science make sense, in the film?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I think we used the head transplant as the foundation of what they have been doing,
Mm-hmm.
and the science for that kind of already exists. So the second step was this drive, and because it's already been made, the prototype was already made, I avoided that sci-fi subject to get overly complex. One of the things that I hear from a lot of people, one of my favorite movies, I really love Inception, and I love Identity, and I love The Usual Suspect, because I love those clever films. A lot of people get really frustrated because they don't have they have too much ADHD, so they can't focus on that story, and they lose themselves, and then they're like, well, what happened there? Are they still there? And I didn't want to make it overly complicated because there's so much complexity to it already that we didn't dive very deep into the science beyond that. That's why I chose to make the film of the moral consequences of having it.
Oh wow. Okay. So was there like kind of a rule of thumb that you had when it came to like the science that made it into the film? Like, did it have to already exist? Did you create anything that was just kind of Harley's science, or was it all pretty much close to the vest?
I think we went after some of the stuff that was the article about cooling down the body, slowing down the heart rate, and inducing a medical coma. We went with all those things. We used the proper medication terminologies, etc. As far as identical, I obviously not. There's probably a lot more to this, but yeah, I mean, we went after that so that when we get to the place where we actually do change bodies, we have an idea of what happened.
Oh, okay.
Nice. Now, now this genre specifically, how would you? I mean, would you call it sci-fi thriller? What would you call this genre?
I would probably say like a crime drama or a thriller. Thriller is probably the right terminology, but it has action aspects. It has sci-fi aspects. But usually, when you coin your film a sci-fi, usually that means little green monsters or some kind of special effects in that direction, because it has a sci-fi film.
Oh,
all right. So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask. So, on how did you actually come to that? Like, how did you decide that the genre didn't fit sci-fi?
Well, I think it could. If we did a film about creating it, it probably would have been very sci-fi because we would have seen the process of making this thing. Where again, what I am always intrigued by is the moral dilemma. So in Betrayed, it's the whole thing of he just relentlessly takes women and girls and he handles them like cattle, and to this nothing. See the whole play with the mayor and the cartel and everything else, and just to sit there and think about how many people, and unfortunately 99.9% are men, do this, and that there's even a market for this is insanity. But that's the moral dilemma that I wanted to wrestle with, and a little bit of the moral dilemma in there as well was with the mayor's daughter who went somewhere she shouldn't have, but she said, well, I'll just do it this one time. And I love those things because that's nobody turns evil overnight or evil over one thing. We keep pushing that boundary, and we continuously step into the gray. And I love playing with that in films because that's what we can all relate to, where we say, I wouldn't do that, but I sure know some people that would.
Nice.
Or maybe some people would do that.
Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to this premiere. Now, anyone who knows, if you're from Los Angeles, or even if you're not, you've heard of of Man Chinese. I don't think it's Man anymore, right? It's something else, huh?
Grandma's.
TCL?
Yeah, TCL
Grandma's?
Chinese, right? Theater.
TCL, yeah.
Right.
Whoever bought it
like
now.
It's a huge honor to have your films premiere there. It's amazing. And your film will be premiering there on Wednesday, September 4th. Talk about the premiere and what people can expect who's going to the premiere, as like myself.
Well, yeah. Last time when we had a premiere there was with Betrayed, and it was an amazing experience. We had a lot of fans that came out for autographs, and we had a lot of stars. This time around, I think we have outdone ourselves completely. We have Oscar-nominated actors. We have multiple Emmy winners. We have just an incredible slew of people coming, which I take as a huge compliment to what we have done, because they wouldn't be there unless they had some form of interest in what we're doing. So that's a huge compliment, and I think. Before I even moved here from Sweden, I knew of the Chinese theater. The Oscars been held there. I knew about this place, and to be there and have your movie, premiere screening there. It was kind of funny because it's actually, I should tell you, I don't know if I should say this or not. It's actually not the first screening of the film. It screened at Indie Gatherings Film Festival in Ohio. We won Best Crime Drama. And it starts actually in theaters in the Midwest through Imagine a week before it starts everywhere else, which is September 6th.
So you're going to be in my territory. You're going to be in my territory in Missouri. You're going to be in Michigan. That's going to be cool.
Chicago and Minnesota and Minneapolis are all gonna have the film, and they.
Oh, so you're doing Upper Midwest?
Yeah, she said Upper Midwest.
So you're doing Upper Midwest?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Upper Midwest. Yep. Yep. So Imagine Theater is a newer, like luxury theater chain, and we've had all of our local premieres through them for as long as I can remember, and they offer to be a limited theatrical point for us up here in the Midwest, and they didn't know that we were already starting our VOD and everything else on the 6th. So they said our theater only shows films that are not somewhere else. So is there any way that we can start the theatrical for us a week early? and I talked to Vision, my distributor,
Mm-hmm.
and they gave them a green light. So it's pretty exciting. So we have our Michigan premiere on Friday. We have a sneak peek at all those theaters on Thursday this week. So we're right about to hit the theaters here.
That is so cool. I'm so happy for you, man.
That's exciting.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's very exciting. And so, I know the big premiere hasn't happened yet, but I got to ask you, what's coming next after you have your next project lined up?
Yeah, so we are in pre-production right now. Actually, we're in development, so we're funding, but we're planning on November. The Peculiar Mind of Peter Strauss as the working title, and this is a real mind trip and a very, very unique concept. And I'm really looking forward to this. Still, the funding has to work for this because it's another film that I wouldn't want to do without the right funds. So I have 2 scripts that are on the line for November, but I really hope we can do that one, and I can get the budget together for that. As far as films coming out, this is going to be a hectic year. I'm releasing Abstruse, it's like a very dark thriller with Tom Sizemore and Dennis Haskins.
Nice.
And Enigma is coming out, which is a
Mhm.
horror thriller. And they're both releasing on November 1st. So that's coming right around the corner when we're done with this.
You're just a
Yeah,
releasing machine.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be Harley the Machine.
Right? And
Harley.
then, if you remember Bennett's song, the sequel will be picture locked this week, and then after that we go into sound design and scoring, and then that one should be coming out in theaters probably in December,
Wow,
right
man.
for the holidays, and I'm very happy with that film, and then you have Agramon's Gate coming out in theaters in February. And then I have my trump card, which is Ash and Bone. We just shot that with Jamie Bernadette. Holy bananas. That is going to be probably the exclamation point so far of films that I've ever made. It's
Mhm.
incredible. Movie with the feel of House of Wax, a little bit of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a really dark, scary thing.
Ooh, that sounds right.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah, I love it though. I love that you don't just stick in one
That's gonna be
genre. That you do comedy, romantic comedies. You do
Yeah.
action films. Thrillers. I love it, man. And that's
Yeah.
what a real artist does, and I love it, man. And you stay busy.
Yeah, I mean, listen to Rolling Stones. They made all kinds of music: slow songs, fast songs, dark songs, light songs. I mean, if it calls you, go. If it's a great story, then tell it. It doesn't matter what genre it is.
Right.
So, what kind of budgets, though, by the way, do you like working
Well, I
with?
think we're kind of in a funny situation right now because we have been staying just below the ULB numbers. So our films have been just under 250,000, and we have some connections right now that really want to see us bump up a lot. So it's likely what's going to come after this film we're shooting in November. But the one for next year, we may only maybe 2 films next year, and up the budgets and up the stakes and bring in some bigger names, slow down the production a couple of days, get a little bit more coverage, and just be able to strive to a higher level of excellence. You look at some of the films that we watch on the big screen, they took months and months to shoot. Eternal Code had a 16-day shooting schedule.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's the thing. If you can slow down that pace a little bit, if you can get some higher and higher end actors, if you can get a really skilled high end DP and gaffer, you can really do magic, but it costs more money. Everything when you're trying to up your quality and production value, trying to push that is really important to us. So that costs money.
Wow. Well, I'm looking forward to next week. I'm gonna be there with bells on, literally, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. Once again, how can people get you in social media, and where can they pick up your films?
So all the films are either available on DVD or VOD. The least expensive way to get is on Amazon Prime. You can find Bennett's Song and Moving Parts and Betrayed on there right now. We'll add a few films to that this year, but so that's the way where you can find the films. As far as getting a hold of me, Harley Wallen on Facebook, official Harley Wallen on Instagram, and then Harley the Swede on Twitter. And I know it's confusing that I have a bunch of different names, but when I was fighting, I made my Twitter handle, and I guess they're not that easy to change. So I've just kept it, and yeah, so that's me.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and we'll be looking forward to it.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing you there.
Best of luck. I'll be there in spirit. I promise.
All right. We'll believe you. Well,
Take care.
All right. That's going to be a lot of fun. Before we get on out of here, I wanted just to bring up a couple of topics and run it by you guys. This is Spotlight Week. We'll be on every day this week. So, tomorrow we're going to be doing our top 10 tear jerkers list. These are top. Yeah,
I already have Phoenix, so
the top 10 movies that will make you cry. So I'm looking forward to hearing everybody's list. Actually, Joshua is going to be joining us tomorrow for that. So that's going to be
awesome.
So I wanted to go over some entertainment news while we have you. Some things have come out recently, and I kind of wanted to get your guys' take on it. One thing was announced. Are you guys fans of a little TV show called Breaking Bad?
Teeny bit, just a teeny bit.
Did you watch Breaking Bad, Grayson?
A few episodes, yeah.
Only a few. What?
Oh, really?
Wow, you haven't seen Breaking Bad.
Oh man, apparently I'm really a different personality because I couldn't stop watching it.
Okay, so.
Well, don't forget I have to break out other things.
She's like, I've already broke bad, so I don't need to know. Okay, so it was announced, kind of a surprise that we knew that there was a Breaking Bad movie coming out, but aren't you shocked that it's going to be released October 11th? That's like so.
I'm kind of excited about it, even though I only saw a few episodes. I'm like, yeah.
Yes, it's called El Camino.
You know what's really surprising about that? How did they keep that under wraps for so long? I mean, you know that had to have been in production for a while. How did they keep that under wraps? That's pretty good.
Well, they probably managed to do it by, pretty much keeping the cast their mouths shut.
Threatening and cajoling.
Well, like they did with, all of the people with, any Game of Thrones spoilers, or things like that.
I'm looking forward to it because everything Vince Gilligan touches in the Breaking Bad universe, for sure.
Yeah.
So, Better Call Saul is awesome. Breaking Bad is great. So I'm looking forward to El Camino. We got to definitely do a review on it when it comes out. And it's going to be on Netflix, which is pretty cool. And then
it better.
Yeah. So, I'm not going to, I guess we can't say too much because Grayson hasn't seen it because to talk about what it's about kind of will ruin the show for Grayson. So, but I like where they're going with this, and it should be pretty good. So I'm just looking forward to seeing, how this comes out, and and I have a lot of faith in in the Breaking Bad crew. So yeah, that's going to be pretty cool. Also came out, surprise, surprise, The Matrix 4 and
Yeah, I heard they're all committed.
Keanu Reeves and Carrie Ann Moss are going to be reprising their roles. Now, spoiler
Yeah.
alert, didn't Neo die in Revolution? Or was it, yeah, Revolutions?
Yeah, but it's the Matrix. You can reboot the Matrix.
I guess. Yeah. So is anybody excited for
Meta on top of meta.
are you
On
guys
top of meta.
are you guys excited for and oh, I forgot. And the Wachowski, I think her name is now Leanne?
Yeah,
Something like that. Starts with an L.
something like that.
Lana.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, it's Lana.
Lana.
Lana Wachowski, who I forgot when there was a dude. I forgot what was the Wachowski names before. I can't remember. But anyway.
Oh, Chris and something.
Right. Well, Lana Wachowski is going to be the director. Her brother or her sister is not involved in the project. So how do you guys feel about that? That one of the Wachowskis is going to be involved?
Well, it's going to be kind of interesting. Yeah, because it's like usually they work as a unit, and it'll be nice to see, like what you can do as a solo act.
Yeah, I mean, what about you, Jen? Are you?
I personally will go see Keanu Reeves eat oatmeal if that's what's on the screen. So I'm good. I'm good.
Well, I heard there's a spoiler alert. There's a big oatmeal eating scene.
Oh my God. See, they probably wrote it in for me. That's probably what happened. Actually, I have to say something serious about this, which is I feel like we are in really slippery territory here, right? I know that The Matrix is really popular, but I've seen this happen a lot, and it is a little bit frightening isn't the right word, but it could be a little bit I don't know. Sometimes it's disenchanting to see stuff get remade and remade and remade and remade, because we just had an awesome person on the show who's coming up with new, fresh material. And, I know there's only so many different stories to be told, but honestly, sometimes I worry that we are so baked into our this is what we like that we forget how to break out of those molds. I don't know. I mean, like I have really weird feelings about it because I wanted to be successful. I love Keanu Reeves. I love the story of The Matrix. It's amazing. But wow, we are really in just remake on remake on remake on remake on remake. And it's tedious after a while.
It is.
It is.
Yeah, it definitely is. And he's also doing Bill and Ted #3. So
right. That's another one. Yeah, but that one I actually don't mind so much because enough time has kind of gone by to make it feel like it might be a bit fresh and relevant, especially to newer audiences. But The Matrix doesn't feel like, I know it was a while ago, but it doesn't.
2003, you're right.
And it just, I don't know. It's hard for me to sort of like come up with good audience wisdom about why we go back to these things over and over again. It's almost like we're sort of afraid to experience brand new stories because we don't want to be disappointed, because, we want something that feels tried and true. We want something that feels comfortable. And yet when you see what they do a lot of times with these, with the remakes, they don't really make them any better. And that is concerning to me.
Right. You would think that we had got together with this because you were talking about the remakes. And my next thing, my whole point of bringing this up is being that Keanu Reeves just did John Wick 3, and he's currently filming Bill and Ted 3. Bill and Ted 3, and now he's going on to The Matrix 4. We have to bring up, this is an impromptu. Let's talk about some other movies that of Keanu Reeves' back catalog that they should make another movie in, and of course all tongue in cheek. So so we're not really serious, but what would be some interest? What would be another Keanu Reeves movie that that they should make a sequel to. So obviously, quote, wink, wink, not make a sequel to, but
Wink, wink, not make a sequel to.
yeah.
Well, I'd go see Knock Knock too.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, that's funny. Knock Knock too. Oh man. Well, what about you, Grayson? Knock Knock too. That's hilarious. That's the quote of the.
Yeah, that would be kind of funny. That's like,
Well, what did you see, Grayson? What another Keanu?
oh goodness, it's like I can't really see a whole lot of movies with him that that one that he was in that football movie.
The Replacements too.
Yes, The Replacements Part 3.
Oh,
I say we get Constantine back.
Constantine Part 2.
Yeah, I mean he got.
Yeah, but there's so much better actors for Constantine now too.
What about the Devil's Advocate? Wait, how about this? Now forget the Devil's Advocate too. The Day the Earth Still Stood Stiller.
Yes.
Is that a story about alcohol or something else?
Yeah, it's like, and also like regarding The Replacements, they could call it by now the hip replacement.
The hip replace. There you go. Or how about this? The Lake House 2.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't.
There you go.
That's ancient history already.
Okay, so
I would go see A Scanner Darkly though. I mean, if they like did a fresh retake on that would be awesome. I loved that.
Scanner Darkly. Okay, Scanner Darkly.
Or Johnny
Mnemonic.
Yeah.
Johnny Mnemonic Part 2. Like, yeah, he would probably be like, no. I think he would. No Johnny Mnemonic 2. What about Dracula 2? Because his accent was like awesome. So
right, that is right. No, you know what? Honestly, you know what my favorite Keanu Reeves movie is, and he wasn't even a huge part of it. It was Dangerous Liaisons.
Oh yeah, that's a great movie. I mean, but I don't count that as a Keanu Reeves movie. I mean, he was.
I know he was in.
Just like Much Ado About Nothing. It's like that was all Branagh, and he was like a side character, but he actually was really good in that.
He was. He was also really good as being very clueless in Dangerous Liaisons, I have to say. I mean, that was actually a really good role for him at the time.
Yes,
I liked it.
Okay, so all right. So moving on. Did anyone see the Mandalorian trailer?
I did
not yet.
Yeah, that's the new Star Wars TV show that's going to be on the Disney streaming platform, and it looks pretty impressive. It looks like it, they really put some money into it. So that looks pretty good. What do you guys think about Disney streaming platform? I mean, I think obviously it's a great idea because Disney has so much content. So, what do you guys think about Disney having a streaming platform?
To be honest, it's like, what? I'm glad that we're starting to open up more streaming platforms and for more room for content. Because if we are going to be starting to shrink the windows anyways, we may as well have like more content and more to choose from. Because a lot of people, that's one of the things that keep them still watching television is that, you have so many channel options to choose from. With Netflix, with Amazon, with all of that, they have so many product to choose from. But by having more streaming platforms, it's going to get them more competitive with each other to buy content.
Right.
I have sort of a mixed feeling about this because although I do believe that streaming platforms are really the wave of the future, the problem is that the competition for eyeballs is I think going to permanently dilute what is able to be shown. That is, you're only going to ever get a certain percentage of the audience because the days of big content aggregation feel like they are coming to a close. Now, I know Disney's got a lot of content in their catalogs, but it doesn't, to me, it still feels like, okay, so they've got one and that seems like a pretty big advantage. But overall, some of the best content that has come out, especially let's say like on Netflix, has been really original stuff that it didn't originate in a big studio. It didn't originate off of a really huge production. And that stuff feels like it's at risk because we are now moving into sort of a different age where all of the big companies that used to aggregate all of their content through the streaming services are now having their own streaming services. And so how many $7, $10, $12, $15 a month memberships are you actually going to be able to support in your house before you say, okay, well, that's all that I can have? I mean, at the point of your cable bill, or like, where do you make that?
Well, actually, a lot of people are turning away from their cable bills for exactly that, because they can get their same content on any of the streaming channels. And what it's going to force it to do is it's going to force them to either cross-platform with each other in terms of content for people, or what it's going to wind up doing is it's going to wind up being that it's like, for more original content, people are going to keep coming and coming and coming, but now they're going to have competitors to choose from. See, what used to be is like, okay, you wanted your independent film to be done, Netflix was the bomb. Then Amazon jumped into the game, but they're still doing a lot of the commercial ones. Now that the Warner Brothers and all of them are coming through, what they're starting to sit there and say is like, okay, well, you built the better mousetrap now for the people in terms of distribution channels, that they have their eyeballs. Why don't we build our own distribution channels as well and start getting to be back and being competitive? Why are we allowing, the Apple iTunes channels and all of those things to hold the game? So what they're basically going to do is they're going to open up their wallets to more independent film and more independent content. What the fight's going to be is going to be a fight for the audience to go, okay, well, what service do I want to go with? And they might wind up with like, the way that we have a Roku for TV, almost having a Roku sort of thing for your streaming one. You could get this from Netflix, this from Amazon. It's like kind of doing a combo pack type deal that it might eventually come down to.
All right. Well, I'm subscribed to a bunch of stuff. I probably, what I need to do is, because it's kind of gotten out of control, I need to just sit down and figure out which ones I want to keep and which ones I don't even need, because I barely use Hulu. Amazon is a must more than probably anything.
I feel like this is actually going to come down a little bit differently. I feel like it's going to come down to real similar to the way that DirecTV does their channel choices, where they create sort of packages that have X, Y, and Z, and then you get to choose those. Because I'll tell you,
that's right,
I have every single pay channel. Okay, well, I got rid of Cinemax. Sorry, Cinemax, I love you, but
no more Cinemax.
There was nothing good on. Yeah, I don't even like Skinemax. So. But it's awesome because all of the titles are basically available. I mean, we are getting ready to do a rewatch of Deadwood again, and it's because HBO's got everything basically aggregated right on our TV. So I mean, that stuff is really awesome. But where things sort of come into different functional play is, and I wonder how this is going to work, right? Is we've got two models of entertainment in this country, right? We've got the big model, which is big budget production movies. And then we've got this secondary market, which is almost overtaking the bigger market, which is these, 8 to 10 series episodes, which are costing just about as much as major motion pictures, if not more. And the portal that they are pushing this out to doesn't have the same kind of theatrical reach. And so I really wonder, where I think the market will decide. I feel like that obviously is just kind of how it's going to come down. But I hope in my kind of bones that what will happen is all this awesome content will end up getting aggregated by the cable companies. So the cable will never get rid of the cable companies, and the cable companies will end up sort of helping us by being the selection model for what we get.
Well, we're also getting into also then Quibbies and things like that are coming up, which it's like what we're doing now is we're starting to stream on multiple places.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Quibi.
Well, it's so much that we can talk about, but we have to go.
Very true.
I'm gonna start off with you, Grayson. How can people get you on social media, and what should we be on the lookout for you as far as your projects?
Well, you can stalk me on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter. Yes, I still have my Twitter account, though there's now like 42 followers as opposed to 37 followers. Go that, go me. In regards to that, because it's like I hardly ever Twitter. But even if you Twitter me, I will answer you, I swear. You can get me on basically LinkedIn, Facebook, and also Wikipedia. There, you also can see me on my Movie Time channel. Still, it's like we will be coming up with more Movie Time episodes, as I've said to people. Please be patient with us on that. It's like we are coming up also on our AFM episodes that will be coming up. There, it's like there was about 117 episodes that are in the backlog channels. Sorry, but I will not pay Adobe for their editing software. And notice I edited out the word that I was going to use with the F word. Thank you. But for their software subscription service. But otherwise, it's like you can also see me coming up on, we're starting shortly our pre-production on What Did She Say? And please go on our What Did She Say homepage on Facebook, as well as also on the Past Lives Productions Inc. website. It's pastlivesproductionsinc.com. And check out all of our films that are coming up. Also, I will be, after What Did She Say? Directing Streaming Sarah, another production. So,
all right.
Look, watch out for me, Film World, because here I come.
Right, I love it. I love it. Jen, how can people get you on social media and all that good stuff?
Wait, one more Keanu Reeves movie before we go.
Uh-huh.
The one where he teamed up with Jason Momoa. What was it called?
Oh, that weird movie.
Bad. Yeah. Really, there's no actual artistic reason for me wanting to see that other than just wanting to see Jason Momoa and Keanu Reeves together. So yeah. Okay.
Better than Pick Aquaman.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just happen to like those two men. Yeah. So you can find me on social media at following bliss1 on Twitter. And you can look at my websites over at criticallaughs.com and moviesmakethemeal.com.
All right. And you can get me at Kente F on Twitter, Kente Ferguson at Instagram, Indie Radio. That's indyradio.org is the website. This is the Spotlight Week. We'll be on tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern with the top 10 movie tearjerkers. So if you like movies and you like movies that make you boo-hoo, tomorrow night right here at Get Vocal at 6 p.m. Pacific, we'll be going over our list. Bring your list too, and we will acknowledge your list as well. So this is this all week will be spotlight episodes. Starting in about 15 minutes in another room here on Get Vocal, we will be doing long distance relationships. We'll be covering that on Men and Women Talk, the Mars Venus show. So I'm looking forward to that. And as well, we're going to be talking terror this week, as well as Cinema de Fromage. We will be doing Plan 9 from Outer Space. So we have a busy week of shows on Indie Radio. You guys have a great rest of your week. God bless you and have a good night.
See you later, all.